Oompa loompa doopa dee doo. I've got my latest review for you. Oompa loompa doopa dee dee. If you are wise, you'll listen to me. Alright, I'm not gonna do the whole review entirely in song or anything, but I think you kind of get the idea, of course, what I'm going for, so yeah. Hey guys, this is Ackleyattack4427 here with a brand new thoughts video for all of you guys, and well, I guess it's probably been some time as we speak, and well, I guess it's after the massive amount of time I have for the first couple of weeks of course, this month with, of course, Godzilla -1 and The Boy and the Heron, both of which are really great movies given to us pretty much given to us from Japan. I think it makes sense that we finally shift our way back to, of course, movies that are made here in America for sure. So yeah. I think those couple bits of Japanese cinema is exactly what I need for sure. And boy, it looks like pretty much given to the great start that we have for this month for sure. Looks like this one, we're actually seeing on the trend of something really good by Fahara for sure. So yeah, I think it kind of makes sense, of course, on that front. And yeah, probably by the time I'm recording this video, I had just got back from, of course, seeing this movie because, yeah, believe it or not, for the third time in a row as of now, I did manage to catch the latest movie that's out now through a early Thursday screening for sure, so yeah, I guess it's quite surprising that I've decided to go for a early Thursday screening for sure, and well, first I did it with Exorcist Believer, then I did it with The Marvels, and now it looks like we're doing it for the third time in a row with this movie I'm talking about here today, So yeah, I think you can pretty much get the main idea, of course, that front for sure. So yeah, by the time I actually am talking about this latest movie, I had just got back from seeing it through a early Thursday screening for sure. So probably by the time this video goes live, the movie is already out as we speak. So yeah, I think you can pretty much get the idea, of course, that front. So yeah. And I guess I'm sure a lot of you guys may be wondering, what did I go see this time? Well, that's actually an interesting question. I say for the latest movie, how about, yeah, I think pretty much for the latest movie that I'm talking about here today, well, I did tease this at the end of my thoughts video on The Boy and the Heron, and well, I guess for today's movie that I'm going to be talking about here today, I think it's about time that we pretty much leave this world and, of course, enter a world of pure imagination. And I know I did exactly that with my golden ticket right on my side, So yeah, I think you can pretty much see where I'm going at for sure. So yeah, and in case a lot of you guys are actually quite curious, I'm of course going to be diving right into this latest movie that I just saw pretty much earlier today by the time I'm recording this, and yeah, like I said, probably by the time this video goes live, the movie is already out as we speak, so. But nevertheless, I'm here to, of course, talk about this latest movie that's already out now, which is none other than Wonka. So yeah, that's of course what I'm going to be talking about here today is, of course, the latest movie that just came out, but given to the context of course, why I'm actually saying it is, of course, the prequel to one of the most well-known stories by author Roald Dahl, which is, of course, Charlie and the Chocolate Factory, and of course, it's centered around on one of the most well-known characters in that said book, which is, of course, Willy Wonka. So yeah, I guess it makes sense, of course, that front. That's, of course, what I'm talking about here today. So yeah. Alright. Alright, so before I could go right ahead and talk about this latest movie, makes sense to give off my little background info, of course, pretty much my experience with Charlie and the Chocolate Factory and Willy Wonka in a nutshell. Well, I guess it's a no big surprise that pretty much of anything, as a kid, when it comes to pretty much some well-known books by author Roald Dahl, I definitely know hands down that Charlie and the Chocolate Factory is definitely one that I really love the most for sure. So yeah, the original book from What I Can Gather is actually really a great one by far. I really love the great amount of ideas, imagery, and of course what it's actually going for by far, and of course pretty much aside from of course all the characters in that, pretty much, that we all recognize, particularly, little, young, Charlie Bucket, for sure. One character that I know stands out a whole lot, out of all the characters in the original Charlie and the Chocolate Factory book is, in fact, Willy Wonka. So yeah, I guess, quite frankly, I knew as a kid, I think, I did manage to have a bit of a connection with, of course, Willy Wonka for sure, and it's not just the book from What I Can Gather, but I guess in terms of movies, I do have a strong love for, of course, the original Willy Wonka and the Chocolate Factory movie with, of course, Gene Wilder in the title role, and I think, my opinion is a bit run of the mill towards the Tim Burton Charlie and the Chocolate Factory movie with Johnny Depp for sure, so yeah, and of course, let's not forget to mention, a couple of years ago, I did manage to go see the Charlie and the Chocolate Factory Broadway musical that Broadway in Syracuse actually hosting for sure, to which, personally to me, I guess if anything, it's not great by all means, but it's not bad for sure, but, yeah, I think, yeah, I do like the idea of course, Charlie and the Chocolate Factory being made into a musical, but I guess, if anything, it's okay from what I can gather. Not really, my, kind of a thing that I would stomach for sure, so. But yeah, despite all of the hang, I actually really do have a strong love for Willy Wonka for sure, particularly pretty much the two movies for sure, the one with Johnny Depp and the one with Gene Wilder for sure. Though I guess if you were to ask me, I do highly prefer the Gene Wilder version a whole lot more. Yeah, I think if anything, if I actually think of Willy Wonka in a movie, Gene Wilder is the one thing that comes into my mind, alongside plenty of others that think so too. And oh yeah, let's not forget to mention, I do remember as a kid, there was a whole setup, of course, candy devoted to the Wonka name for sure, to which I'll admit is actually really quite nice. And yeah, definitely the one thing I did remember from, of course, my childhood for sure. Though, granted, I wasn't actually a big fan of the candy itself when I tried it myself, but I do like what they were going for sure, in order to keep the Wonka name alive for sure, so yeah, that's pretty much what I can gather on, of course, that front for sure. So when it comes to this movie in particular, and when I actually heard the news that they were going to be doing a prequel centering around Willy Wonka for sure, I actually did get myself quite curious just to see on where they're going to go, and of course, that front for sure, so yeah. And of course, I knew from the trailers, it actually does look pretty interesting, and it might actually be something that I might actually be in for sure, so yeah. That's pretty much what I can gather on, of course, that front, and, well, luckily enough, I did manage to go see this movie earlier today, again, for pretty much a nice early Thursday screening for sure, to which, yeah, I guess by the time this video goes live, the movie is already out for sure, and luckily enough, I did tag along pretty much, I did have my mom tag along with me to, of course, see this one for sure, so yeah, that was quite nice, so, but yeah, I guess nevertheless, I did manage to get myself into, of course, see this movie, all thanks to the kind people at Crown City Cinemas, as always, for helping out on that, so yeah, good for them as always. And yeah, I did manage to, of course, pretty much see this movie for myself, just to see, of course, how it'll turn out. And well, I just literally got back from, of course, seeing it, and I guess a lot of you guys may be wondering, what do I think of this movie now that I got the chance to see it? Well, I'm not gonna lie. Yeah, I guess given to, of course, why I'm actually seeing for sure, I won't lie. I actually really do like this movie for sure, so yeah, I guess all in all, I actually do think this movie is actually pretty good. I mean, I wouldn't necessarily say it's great by all means, but I do think this is actually a really good movie for sure, and I do find myself actually having a good time for sure, so yeah, that's pretty much what I can say on, of course, that front. Alright, I guess I'm done with that one. Alright, so yeah, now that I've actually got the short version out of the way, I think I might as well go ahead and talk about everything that I need to talk about with, of course, this movie. For starters is, of course, the story, and honestly, to me, I actually do think the story behind this movie is actually a really clever one by far. Again, I think pretty much the whole selling point of course, this movie is that it wants to give us a prequel to, of course, pretty much Willy Wonka in a nutshell, like, of course, how he actually started up his candy business right up until he'll pretty much to where we see him right now before the main events of course, the main Charlie and the Chocolate Factory story for sure. And well, I guess to me, I do think the story, of course, this movie is actually not that bad for sure, yeah. So yeah, I guess to me, I do think they really deliver the selling point on what you're actually going to be giving for sure. Hence why the tagline of course, this movie is, of course, how discover how Willy became Wonka, and yeah, I do think this movie actually delivered well, of course, pretty much it's a story for sure, so yeah, quite frankly, I think there were a few parts that I did kind of felt were a little bit rocky, to say the least, but the rest actually flowed out quite well, and it actually did deliver on, of course, what's actually been given for sure to actually help flow out this movie quite well, and I'm glad they actually did that quite well. I do think the story, of course, this one, yeah, I will have to say it is actually a really good one for sure. Well, not really great by all means, but I do think they really nailed it for sure with, of course, the story. And yeah, and of course, for the writing, I have to say, that too, I will admit, is pretty much nicely crafted for sure. Everything from, of course, what I'm actually seeing for sure. I do like the way they actually structure. They really structure this out quite well to make this actually work entirely, and yeah, pretty much every single bit of scene to a bit of dialogue and stuff, it's actually written quite nicely from what I can gather, and I will admit there may be, I guess, one or two moments where I think it could have used a little rewrite here or there, but I do think they really did an incredible job with, of course, the writing, I have to say, and it did deliver on, of course, what's been given for sure. And not to mention, pretty much the little bits of comedy they actually throwing into it. I'll admit, it didn't get me a full laugh for sure, but it did give me a really nice chuckle, to be honest. So yeah, I guess if anything, that's of course why I could say, of course, those aspects in a nutshell. I really like what they were trying to go for, and despite maybe, I guess, one or two little hiccups here and there, I do think they really crafted everything for, of course, this movie quite well, so yeah, that's pretty much what I can say on, of course, that front. Alright. Alright, so now that I've got those out of the way, I think I might as well go ahead and talk about the next couple of things that I need to talk about for sure, which are, of course, the characters, and I think I will admit, I actually do like pretty much what they went for with, of course, the characters for sure. Literally from, of course, what I'm actually seeing from my perspective on that front. I do think the characters for sure actually have been given some pretty nice development, I'm not gonna lie, and they did it in such a way to, of course, really make them stand out quite well, to make them likable and interesting, and I really follow through on, of course, all that entirely, so yeah. I guess from what I've actually seen from my standpoint, I think they really did a fine job with, of course, the characters for sure. And as for the actors that came on board to play all these characters, that, I will admit, is, of course, one thing that I actually can say on, of course, that front for sure. I think pretty much the actors in, of course, this movie are actually nicely casting, I'm not gonna lie, and they actually give off some pretty good performances from, of course, what I can gather for sure, So yeah, I guess, quite frankly, I do think they really did give off some pretty good performances, I'm not gonna lie, and I do think they actually stood out quite nicely for sure. Pretty much, if anything, despite the fact that I know he's no Gene Wilder or Johnny Depp for sure, I'll admit, pretty much, yeah, I think from what I can gather, Timothy Chalamet actually does do a pretty fine job in actually portraying Willy Wonka for sure, and it is, of course, what I'm actually looking for pretty much in, of course, this movie. I think Timothy Chalamet actually really did a fine job portraying Willy Wonka quite well for sure, and I know that's saying a whole lot because he too has also pulled off some pretty much some really good performances in most of the movies I've talked about in the past for sure, particularly in the first Doom movie that I talked about a couple of years ago. To which, by the way, despite the massive setback as we speak, I'm still excited to see Doom Part 2 coming up, so that'll be interesting to see, so yeah, I guess, quite frankly, Timothy Chalamet actually really did pull off his portrayal of Willy Wonka quite nicely for sure, so yeah, and of course, that's on top of all the other actors that pretty much that have, of course, signed on board to be part of this movie, that have also give off some really good performances, I'm not gonna lie, such as, of course, Keegan-Michael Key, Rowan Atkinson, Hugh Grant, and just to name a few for sure, so yeah, really do love the characters and the actors by far, and I think they really nailed it entirely, so yeah, that's pretty much what I can say on, of course, that front. Alright, so yeah, now that I've actually got those two out of the way, what else is there for me to talk about? Quite a whole lot, actually. For starters, I guess, quite frankly, for starters, I would have to talk about the visuals and the effects of course, this film, and, well, I guess about anything, I guess I'm a little half and half with, of course, pretty much the visuals and the effects, and of course this film for sure. So yeah, what do I mean by this exactly? Well, I think I'll actually put it in a few ways for sure. Excuse me, so yeah, I guess for starters, I think pretty much for most of the effects and of course this film, I'll be honest, I think they are actually really quite convincing for sure, and I really do think they blended in quite well for sure, like of course the nice scenery and stuff, pretty much for most of the backgrounds, yeah, pretty much from what I can gather, and not to mention the bits of CGI-ing stuff, particularly for the pretty much bits of chocolate for sure. I'll admit, I do think they are actually really well done for sure, because yeah, if there's one thing that when you actually think of course, when you say the name Willy Wonka for sure, the one thing he is of course associated with the most is definitely chocolate for sure. So, and boy, I guess judging by the way I actually said chocolate out loud, I am literally imagining a ton of people pretty much giving off their their SpongeBob chocolate reaction for sure. Like, of course, pretty much chocolate, 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 chocolate. Yeah, that kind of reaction for sure. But yeah, I guess if anything, for most of the CGI, of course, this film, particularly on the chocolate, I do think they are actually really well done for sure. Like, of course, pretty much when I actually see on screen, I'm not convinced it's, of course, some rubbery bits of pretty much liquid that isn't rendered out properly. No, when I actually see all that in this movie, I do think it actually does look like real chocolate for sure. Something that you can actually scoop up and actually eat for sure. So yeah, I guess if anything, most of the CGI and the effects in, of course, this movie are actually done really well, but I will admit it did work well for the massive amount of chocolate they incorporated in for sure. So yeah, who would have thought the one thing I actually really like in this movie when it comes to CGI and stuff being used in this movie would definitely have to be some nice, delicious chocolate for sure. So yeah, that's what I mean for, of course, most of the visuals and the effects in, of course, this film. While the other half, from what I could gather, I'll admit, I think it just didn't felt right, and it's a little off-putting to say the least for sure. Like, of course, pretty much a good example from, of course, what I can give would definitely have to be Hugh Grant as the Oompa Loompa for sure. So yeah, now don't get me wrong, let me get this perfectly clear. I do get the idea that pretty much they want to make it look like the Oompa Loompas that we seen in the original Willy Wonka movie with Gene Wilder. I get that, and even of course this movie from, of course, what I can gather, I'll give it credit that pretty much it did go in that route for sure, and yeah, that is, of course, pretty much what I think of course, pretty much an Oompa Loompa for sure. Just a small little man, pretty much with orange skin and green hair and everything for sure. That is, of course, what I think of when I hear the name Oompa Loompa for sure. So yeah, I'll give this movie credit that it did go in the similar route to making it look like the Oompa Loompas in the Gene Wilder movie for sure. I can give it credit for that, and I'll admit Hugh Grant is actually not a bad choice of playing Oompa Loompa, and I think he actually did portray the role quite well for sure. But I think the one thing that did kind of irk me, of course, seeing that is the way he actually looks by horror for sure, and literally from, of course, what I'm actually seeing, all they did was, of course, pretty much shrink pretty much Hugh Grant's body down, almost like pretty much almost looking like pretty much a little person, but actually keep his head big for sure. Now, again, I do get the idea that they wanted to make it look like the Oompa Loompas from the original. But from what I'm actually seeing for sure, yeah, I think seeing Hugh Grant as the Oompa Loompa in, of course, this film, honestly, I think it's just way too off-putting from, of course, what I can gather for sure, and they just didn't look right from, of course, what I can gather for sure. And I mean, you couldn't actually get someone who is an actual little person to actually play an Oompa Loompa for sure. I mean, again, the original Willy Wonka movie did have a bunch of little people playing Oompa Loompas, and they actually did quite well. And I'll give it credit. Yeah, I'll give the Johnny Depp version credit that despite using pretty much CG technology and stuff, I'll admit Deep Roy is fine Oompa Loompa to say the least, but nothing like the Oompa Loompas in the original movie for sure. So yeah. But I can't fault this movie for that. Like I said, Hugh Grant is a really good actor, and I do admire his performance in, of course, this film. And I'll give the film credit that they do want to make him look like the Oompa Loompas from the original Willy Wonka movie, but it just didn't look right to me for sure. So yeah. I guess you can see why I'm a little half and half with, of course, the visuals and the effects, and, of course, this movie for sure. But yeah, I guess enough about that. Back to, of course, the other aspects, and I guess going back to the visuals on, of course, this film. Honestly, to me, I think the one thing I really do love in, of course, this movie is that I really do love the nice set design they actually incorporate in for, of course, this film for sure. I think literally every single set piece from what I can gather is actually really convincing, and you really do feel like you actually are in that environment for sure. So yeah, I think it's, of course, what I can gather for sure. So yeah. And of course, I should also mention this is, of course, a musical, so yeah. So, of course, I do have to mention, of course, the music and the songs of course, this film. And to me, I actually do think the music and the songs are actually done pretty well for sure. Pretty much mixing in, of course, some good old classic songs from, of course, pretty much the original Willy Wonka movie, like, of course, Pure Imagination, and, of course, the Oompa Loompa song, which I sang at the beginning of course, this, pretty much of this review as we speak, and, of course, they did incorporate some new songs into it, and to me, I do think they really did a fine job, and, of course, incorporating some really nice, well-crafted songs for sure. I mean, it's not necessarily one that I would get into for sure, nor would it be toe-tapping to say the least, but I actually do think pretty much it is actually quite good for sure, so yeah. And, of course, the direction of this film is, of course, one thing that I can say. Yeah, pretty much the direction, of course, of this film, to which I should also mention that this film is, in fact, directed by Paul King, who actually directed the two Paddington movies, which I sadly haven't seen, but I wish I would, because I do hear they're really awesome. I'll admit, I think he actually did a fine job, of course, directing this movie for sure, and given to the material he's actually working with for sure, I say he's definitely on his A game for sure, entirely for, of course, this movie, and again, I wouldn't necessarily say it's actually pretty much 110% on the levels of when he actually did the Paddington movies, which by far is, of course, his best work directing for sure, but I do think his directing styling, of course, this movie actually still works pretty well. I mean, not great, but still actually done pretty good for sure, So yeah, and of course, this movie is shot well through some really fantastic cinematography for sure, and of course, it's cut perfectly through some really, really good editing entirely, and yeah, I think it's pretty much from, of course, everything from, of course, what I can gather. I do think everything from what I'm actually seeing, it didn't work pretty much fully on the verge of being pitch perfect, but I do think they really did a incredible job, and of course, creating pretty much crafting a really nice prequel to Willy Wonka for sure, just to see what it's like before he actually pretty much before he actually created his factory for sure, leading up to pretty much the events of course, the original story for sure. So yeah, I think it's pretty much what I can say on, of course, that front. So yeah. Alright. Alright, Alright, so yeah, I guess that's pretty much everything that I can say for, of course, this movie. So yeah, overall, I wouldn't necessarily, for Willy, I wouldn't necessarily say it's probably pretty much a great movie that I've actually seen this year. In fact, I've actually seen other movies that are actually much greater than this. But I will say this, Wonka is without a doubt a really good one to watch for sure. And I do think they really did a fine job with, of course, what it's actually doing for sure. So yeah, everything from, of course, what I've actually seen, I do think pretty much, I think they really nailed it on the head on, of course, this one. Pretty much the idea of course, doing a prequel story on Willy Wonka does have a lot of possibilities for sure. And even on paper, it actually does look like it could actually work for sure. And, of course, when it comes to execution, I think they did pull it off quite well. Not great entirely, but I do think they really did pretty much a good one for sure, which actually does result in a pretty good time. I'm not gonna lie for sure. So yeah, I actually really do like this movie for what it is, and I wouldn't necessarily say it's probably as great as all the other movies I've actually seen this year, nor would I actually pretty much give it like critical acclaim levels of great, but I do think it is actually a good enough movie for what it is, and I do like it entirely for sure. So yeah, I guess all in all, despite what I have to say, I still actually recommend this movie for what it is for sure. You're probably not going to get much for sure, but I think you are going to get something that's still rather delicious, I'm not going to lie for sure. So yeah. So yeah, if you haven't actually seen this movie, I say you do so for sure. It's definitely a good one to check out, and I'm glad I got to see it for what it is, which actually does make it a good movie nonetheless. Yeah, so yeah, pretty much an enthusiastic or a great review than what I was expecting it to be, but I do think this film is solid enough for what it is. So yeah, that's pretty much everything that I can say on, of course, this movie. So yeah, for my final score, yeah, I guess I am actually playing fair on, of course, this one, and I'm definitely going to give this movie an 8 out of 10 as my final score for sure. Like I said, I wouldn't necessarily say it's pretty much a great movie for what it is, but I do think it is actually a really good one entirely, and I'm sure you're definitely going to be in for something rather quite interesting for sure. So yeah, if this is actually something up your alley for sure, then by all means, go ahead and check it out for sure. You're probably not going to get much from what I can gather, but the best way I can actually put it for sure is that, well, yeah, like I said, you're not going to get much for sure, but I can guarantee that you are going to get something that is, as Willy Wonka himself would describe it, as being scrumdiddly umptious. So yeah, it's pretty much what I can say on, of course, that front. Alright, I guess I'm done with that. And I guess on that thought, that'll pretty much do exactly that. So yeah, thank you guys so much for watching this latest thoughts video, and by all means, I want to hear what you guys think. What do you think of pretty much Wonka if you actually got the chance to see it? Do you actually really like it and thought it's actually a really good prequel for sure, or do you absolutely hate it and you think that Willy Wonka deserves no origin story in the slightest? Or are you somewhere in between where you actually thought it's pretty much a decent flick nonetheless? So yeah, let me know in the comment section below on what you thought about this movie. I would definitely love to know. So yeah. So yeah, I think that's pretty much about it. Thank you guys so much for watching this latest thoughts video for sure. And yeah, finally got that out of the way, and well, looks like we're halfway through, of course, this month for sure, and I guess from the looks of it, I've only got about a few more movies for sure, so So yeah, I think it'll be quite interesting to see on what ones I'll be talking about before this year wraps up for sure. So, but what thing I'm gonna be talking about next, I think you're just gonna have to see for yourself. Because yeah, I think the whole game plan that I have for sure is all laid out for sure, and well, I guess it's quite obvious. It's all there. Yeah, I think it's all, yeah, pretty much, yeah, where am I going with this one? Oh yeah, pretty much this whole game plan of course, seeing a few more movies right before this year ends for sure. It's all there, clear as crystal. I am definitely gonna pretty much get through the next few movies before this year wraps up, but I'm sure you guys are gonna be tuning in. Yeah, we'll definitely tune in for sure, and once you do, you'll get something. You win. Good day, sir! Yeah. So yeah, I think that's pretty much the best way I can describe it. So yeah, with that being said, thank you guys so much for watching. And as always, I'll see you in the next video. So yeah, again, good day, sir. I said good day! Special thanks to all of my supporters on Patreon for making today's video possible, including my top tier supporters for this month, VD. So if you want to be like these guys and show your support to us, then go to patreon.com/Ackleyattack427TV to pledge now, do so, and get some awesome rewards within your budget. Hey guys, this is Ackleyattack4427 here. Thank you all so much for watching today's video. Feel free to like, comment, and share if you enjoy what you're seeing. If you like what you see here and want to see more videos coming up, then go ahead and hit that subscribe button and switch on the notification bell to get notifications, and select all notifications to be notified for when we post a new video. And don't forget to switch on notifications on your phone as well. Also, don't forget to check out my second channel and our 2-member channel with Sam the Thomas Fan 1, SamAttack4427TheThomasFan1 Productions, for plenty more content you can't find on here. You can check both of our channels out with the links or by our handles provided on screen. Feel free to shoot me an email with my email address provided, backley95@hotmail.com, if you want to ask me a question, want to collab with me for a project you've got in the works, or if you want to book me to be featured for a convention coming up. Follow me on my social media pages on Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram to keep up to date with me on updates, announcements, and new releases of my videos, as well as plenty of others I've got with my handles provided, as well as the links down in the description box below. Also, don't forget to follow me on TikTok for other videos I've got aside from the ones I've posted on YouTube, and on Twitch for any future live streams I've got coming up soon, as well as join our official Discord server to see what we've provided. If you wish to show your support to me, then feel free to check out my Patreon to get sneak peeks of my videos coming up before they go up online, as well as getting access to updates and playing more, in addition to getting some awesome rewards within your budget. Also, don't forget to check out and show your support to me on my wishlist on Amazon, and even supporting me at streamlabs.com/AckleyattackTV/tip that you can find in the description box below, as well as on my Twitch page. And in case you can't find any of the links that are provided, then not to worry about a thing. All the links and stuff are also provided on my link tree that you can also find in the description box below, as well as a few selected number of my social media pages. Other than that, thank you all so much for watching, and I'll be sure to see you in the next video. Take care.